Candace.
And I'm Ripley.
And I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining.
The show where Pride was so nice we did it twice.
We sure did.
Yeah, we went down to Hazel Park Pride today. There's actually 2 cities in our area that are hosting Pride celebrations this weekend. Not sure what's up with that, but hey, it's welcome. I'd go to a Pride celebration every month if I could.
Yep.
Well, isn't it Wrath Month? You know, after Pride comes Wrath.
No, I think we've moved past that. What's the one after Wrath? Is it Gluttony? Is it Pride Gluttony Month?
Gluttony.
The gluttony of having multiple Pride festivals.
We're indulging.
So indulgent.
Anyway, what happened last time with the X-Men?
Okay.
John knows.
It was actually fairly memorable. What the hell? Guys, that's not supposed to be how this works. What's supposed to happen is...
Well, I think that's exactly how it's supposed to work.
No, a story is supposed to be completely unmemorable, and we're not supposed to remember them at all.
Not true. I remember Granny Gardenia.
I do too.
So, last time, Cyclops comes back after a mission that went really bad.
That's right.
It went so bad that all the rest of the X-Men were gone. And so Chuck went and got his B-team together. And he manipulated each and every one of them in his own special way, unique to each of them.
Tailor-made manipulation.
Oh, yes. It was custom. He had this...
It's bespoke.
Yes, it was planned. He had this planned so hard. And he put together a new team of X-Men.
Well, they already had a B roster made up, so...
Mm-hmm. And they went after the Living Island.
Krakoa.
Which, as you said, to forget everything I know about Krakoa.
Yes.
That was the thing I knew about Krakoa.
Correct.
So, I was supposed to forget that Krakoa was a living island?
Yes.
Yes.
So you could learn that Krakoa was a living island.
Yeah, because it was a twist. You forgot, of course, that when Scott came back after the failed mission...
His eyes didn't work. Eye beams didn't work.
His eyes weren't working.
Until
because
they were.
Krakoa gave him the good suck.
But, so, all these new mutants... Oh, God.
No, we're not at the New Mutants yet. That's a whole different group.
I know we're not at the New Mutants yet.
Everybody's a fucking comedian.
But they are new. There were 3 of them who are new.
We have a comedy show. We are categorically all comedians.
But
Thank God we've got our human rim shot generator.
So anyway, we recruited new people, including, but not limited to, Nightcrawler, Storm, Banshee, Colossus, Wolverine,
and Thunderbird.
You may know some of these names. Some of them are quite well known.
Most of them are quite well known, I would venture to guess.
I was staring at him on the cover and still could not think of his name.
Not everyone got, that good...
Not everyone can be Wolverine.
Yes.
There are not
Oh God, it's...
currently 5 different Thunderbirds.
Hey, in an alternate universe, there could have been.
There could have been.
Oh my God. It's really funny you guys say this, but I'm not going to explain why.
Oh
no. That's actually worse.
That's ominous.
I hate that. But anyhow, so Scott brings his new team back to Krakoa, and he sends them off in pairs, which didn't actually serve any real purpose other than to show off a little bit of what they can do together. Because they all end up back together at some temple thing?
Yeah, after they fight one boss on the way.
Yeah. And they do find... They find them? They find the other X-Men in the temple?
Yes, they do.
But then the island attacks them.
Yeah, because the island was alive the whole time, guys.
Yes.
The island was the mutant.
Yes, the island was the mutant.
Twist.
I had no idea.
That was a twist. That's... Mm-hmm. See, I know you had no idea because you forgot everything you knew about Krakoa.
Uh-huh.
I did. I erased it from my brain.
See, every time you say that, I also know that there's like a million more things about Krakoa these days, and I know none of them.
See, that's what I was afraid of, that you knew any of them, and that was the problem.
No, I don't know those things. The only thing I knew was the twist. That's the problem.
Well, twist. The island was... The call was coming from inside the house.
But that was just the first story we read.
Yeah, they defeated the island, and then they went back, and they were like, well, we have a bunch of X-Men now.
And then Jean left.
Yep.
Yeah, well, there was a whole other, like, a follow-up story.
Which was technically written a decade ahead, but it takes
a
place...
decade later.
And you can tell from the writing... But, ooh, that's some good spicy right.
But it explored, like, the different relationships.
Yeah, the immediate after. And you have... Bobby has a lot of problems with all these new people in his home.
Bobby is repressed.
Nightcrawler... Kurt is like, no, actually, I'm staying. I like it here.
Lorna and Alex were like... Yeah, let's not be superheroes anymore.
We're not needed for that anymore.
Considering Lorna didn't even have a superhero name.
Right.
We're not needed for this anymore. Look at all these other guys. We can go live our lives. Like regular people.
Yep.
For once.
Alex flirted with Storm. Which, like, fair, we all would.
Wolverine hit on Jean.
Yeah.
Storm flirted back, to be fair.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Scott got pissed that Wolverine was flirting with Jean.
No,
Alex
Warren.
No,
Warren. You got your blondes mixed up.
I did. Warren got pissed off. He saw Logan flirting with Jean and was like, "That's my friend's girl! I'll kick your ass!"
And then Wolverine almost killed someone.
Someone being Warren.
Yep.
Yes, Warren almost got murdered.
Warren was like, "That's not fair, that's dirty fighting!"
I'm a killer? What do you want from me?
Warren is like, "I'm a guy with wings!"
I have knives out of my hands!
Incompatible.
But he also realized, I've got issues. I actually have problems. This is bad. I shouldn't have nearly murdered Wing Boy.
And Jean was like, "I am too attracted to you to stay here."
I like basket cases too much.
I've been
need to go.
Haunted from the moment that you said Jean loves the project. Sitting out here imagining Jean Grey's home for feral boyfriends. Look, Scott talks to people now, and Logan hasn't bitten anyone in months.
Amazing progress, boys. You're doing so good.
Can't wait to find them their forever home.
She can give them stickers for doing a good job.
Well, our first issue here is X-Men 94 from June of 1975, written by Chris Claremont and Len Wein, pencils by Dave Cockrum, inks by Bob McLeod, colors by Phil Rachelson, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski. We are actually going to be using the classic X-Men version of this comic, which includes a few new pages along with the originals. So we also have a few pages featuring John Bolton on pencils and inks and Glynis Wein coloring in addition to the others.
There's a bunch of furries on the cover.
There are! We're going to another fur fest, guys.
I smell the High Evolutionary. It's his,
God, is he the one at the con trying to use Axe instead of deodorant? instead of bathing?
A shower.
Yes. Also, he likes making animal people.
That he does.
This bird guy looks like the bird from Star Fox.
Oh my god, he does, doesn't he? I don't know. That's his name.
That's his name. That's the bitch.
That's the bitch. I know you guys are champing at the bit for some hot Bob McLeod facts. Well, I've got one. One of the things he's well known for is inking in the early days of New Mutants, which we'll eventually get to. The initial graphic novel actually missed its scheduled shipping slot because Bob was on his honeymoon and editor Louise Simonson promised the job to him, so it was held up on his honeymoon. What about our other newbie, Phil Rachelson? Well, he's still out there working, though not in the comics industry since 1982. Apparently beyond painting, he also sculpts, so let's check out some of his work here, some New York stuff going on.
Huh.
I like it. I'd probably have that on my wall.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what it is, but it's something. It's art.
Kind of abstract.
It's art.
Not super abstract, like there's noticeable
Right.
figures.
There's just some almost collage-like aspects to it.
It's cool.
We're going to open on Charles speaking to his assembled X-Men.
Whoa.
Oh boy, that face.
Yeah.
Those faces.
You have multiple options for the preview
I
art this
mean,
week.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, you have Mr. Spock here, but then you have whatever the hell happened to Colossus, and
What about Kurt? Not looking so hot himself.
Hey, Scott. What's going on with you guys in the background? Look fine.
I think Scott looks fine.
Yeah, I
Something-
also think Scott looks fine.
Bulbous. He looks
It's
bulbous.
just his new visor.
This
That's
is
how
his
it
visor.
looks
I
now.
know, but it matches the weirdness of the faces of everyone else
You
in
know,
the front.
fair enough point.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know actually what's going on here. If they're all shown in the reflection of a mirror, like the framing here would suggest, though I don't see the back of Charles's head.
I do. It's right here.
What? Oh my god, what?
Uh-huh.
That makes no... Okay, he's looking into the mirror at his X-Men behind him. Okay, mystery fucking solved. I guess he doesn't just have weird ornate railings everywhere.
I just don't think the back of his head lines up with his reflection.
No, it
No,
doesn't
I
at
dare
all.
say it does not. Well, he's here to congratulate his X-Men on a job well done. But
Hey.
it's just one job, and there's plenty of work left to do.
Oh my god, I forgot Sunfire was here.
You did forget Sunfire was here. Well, Sunfire interrupts, making it clear that while he might have went along with them this one time, he's done with it now. He's heading back home, where he can use his powers to help his country.
And his emperor.
And his emperor. I was just
Yikes.
gonna leave that there, but you know.
Yeah.
Wearily, Charles turns to the other new recruits, waiting to hear their answers. Piotr, for one, is not so sure after the warm welcome they received the night before. But Aurora points out that they haven't even had enough time to judge what this is about, so she's gonna stay. And Wolverine, too, is quite happy where he is, where he can actually do shit instead of waiting for the government to say that he can.
Also, didn't he quit?
He did?
Look how short he is compared to Storm. He doesn't even come up to her shoulder.
I'm going to assume he's sitting or
I
that's a
think he's
stand.
below
on
her
the
on the
stairs.
steps, but still.
Man standing titty height on this
Absolute manlet.
And the giant Storm, tiny Wolverine.
Excellent. I'm fond of this. I mean, Wolverines are little and scrappy, so fuck it.
Sunfire, why are you talking in the third person?
Because he just does
That
that,
just
because it's
happens.
weird. Well, Shiro stomps off, taking to the skies, headed back for home, saying, "Should you need this samurai's help again, do not seek me out and do not ask, for Sunfire will refuse."
Someone's having a temper tantrum.
Okay, we'll lose your number. God.
On brand, though.
Yep.
Sean is also kind of on the fence. He's a lot older than a lot of these X-Men, and Banshee thinks he might be getting a little long in the tooth for the life of a superhero. Charles then pushes a little bit like, what, you can't catch up with these kids? And the tease is enough to push him over the edge. What the hell, one more colorful chapter in the life of Sean Cassidy. Charles, relieved, turns back to his X-Men, but then he gets some answers he wasn't expecting. The original X-Men have pretty much all decided that their time here is done. Jean explains that they're not kids anymore. They're not scared, they can control their mutations now, and they're ready to try to live their own lives. Wolverine is annoyed by the drama and says as much, but Bobby's temper is also still running hot. Scott gets between...
Ironically.
Yeah, I know, right? Scott gets between the pair to break up the fight.
Because we don't need Bobby to get murdered either.
Nobody needs to be getting murdered. And he stands strong against Wolverine's bravado, and he's like, well, maybe I'll stab you. He's like, what the fuck, who cares? And then from the side, Alex asks what Scott's plan is. And Scott doesn't actually know. Over the course of the night, he mulls it over, falling back on the old tired and true, blaming it on his eyes, still deep down afraid that if he ever lets up his guard, he'll hurt someone. He doesn't sleep that night and is still suited up in his costume when his friends descend the steps to leave. The costume says all that they need to know about Scott's decision. He's an X-Man through and through. This is everything he has, and so he's going to stay. He knows the position this puts his relationship with Jean in, but they share an exchange of I loves yous and a kiss before she leaves along with the rest, so they're just gonna try and do this long-distance thing.
Yeah, that's gonna work out.
Mm-hmm.
As the old X-Men head off into their new lives, the new X-Men too have new lives to step into. And Cyclops doesn't waste any time throwing himself into their training, introducing them to the Danger Room.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
After a lot of talking up, the new recruits are a little underwhelmed, particularly when Scott explains that they just have to cross the room. Thunderbird scoffs at this, ready to show Scott how good he's gonna walk across this room.
Oh, no.
But the Danger Room has another idea, quickly chewing him up and spitting him back out into the hallway. Scott then gives the new recruits a brief introduction to the Danger Room, and so it goes from there. Scott putting them through their paces, slowly making these new recruits into something that could actually be called a team of X-Men. Any good thing can be taken too far, though, and with constant training, everyone is really getting pretty wiped out.
Colossus got Looney Tuned through a wall.
But he's fine!
He's fine.
He is fine.
He's fine. That's why Poppy had to leave.
So they're all pretty wiped out, and John manages to injure himself in a training exercise, singeing his leg on a laser beam. And Scott chews him out for the mistake, pointing out that if this was the real deal, he could have gotten himself and the rest of them all killed with that carelessness. Fed up and exhausted, John Proudstar is about ready to come to blows with Scott when the professor telepathically intervenes, sending Proudstar off to patch himself up and calling Scott to his office. They're here to talk about the team, but really this meeting is about Scott. They discuss his troubles with Thunderbird and Wolverine, because on top of all of the issues with authority, they also are the kinds of people who just feed off of one another's energies and kind of have to be one-upping one another constantly. And Scott's beyond frustrated with this. But Charles then reminds Scott that this is hard for the new X-Men too. They have high expectations on them, both back home and here, and big shoes to fill. I mean, not to mention they've been fucking uprooted from whatever lives they had going on before this. You see, remember when I was mentioning last night that it's really hard for me not to read Scott is autistic?
Mm-hmm.
This is the page I was talking about.
Oh boy.
Scott wonders if it's even worth trying when his heart's still with Jean, and if his heart's not in it, he could get them all killed. But Jean, what does she deserve? Charles thinks about how much he needs Scott to make this new team of X-Men work. He yearns to intervene and just order Scott to do it, and he feels that that's actually what Scott wants too, but he doesn't do it. It's Scott's choice to make.
Huh.
See, you got Charles Xavier wrong.
Pretty solid of you, Chuck.
For once.
He's more complicated than you let him be.
Hey, he's gotten more complicated.
An ocean away, Moira McTaggart rides a horse through the highlands of Scotland, a young red-haired girl riding in front of her. It seems she passed young Rain Sinclair as she walked home alone from school, having missed the bus to help her teacher. Suddenly the peaceful ride is interrupted as a man runs to stand dead straight ahead in front of the galloping horse. Moira pulls back on the reins and the horse rears back, but they do manage to stop in time. Reverend Craig, the man responsible, tells her off for giving his ward Rain a ride for some reason. But before Moira gets back on the trail, a woman runs up with a telegram for her from Charles Xavier, who has called her to America.
Ooh.
Back in America, Aurora takes in the new landscape from the skies once more. Her thoughts are interrupted when she notices a man running headlong off a cliff. Thunderbird dives towards the water below, but Aurora realizes it's a fatal height for him. She harnesses the wind, depositing John once more atop the cliff, where we find that this is yet another entry in Wolverine and Thunderbird's growing rivalry taken to dangerous heights.
Oh boy.
For you see, Wolverine made the jump.
Well, yeah, he's a little
He
indestructible.
could shake it off.
That's Storm's exact point. She's getting very sick of watching her teammates jump off of things, I think.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Wolverine's insides can't really handle that stuff nearly as much, but, wait, that's...
He'll shake it off. Half a country away stands the imposing Valhalla Mountain, home of the NORAD War Room carved into its depths. Safe here even from nuclear attack. Here, in this most serious of places, it's mail call. A man named Harris receives an unexpected package. Upon unwrapping, it proves to be a remote control with one button that says, "Push me."
And he does it?
I'm not particularly comfortable that this man and his insatiable urge to press big red buttons is here working in the deepest depths of the nuclear war machine.
Yeah.
You know, NORAD is usually filled with better, trained people than that.
But shiny red button. Well, he presses it, and the remote immediately glows, opening a portal through which a group of angry furries leap.
They are that.
Oh, she's a bug lady. Okay.
Yeah, her name's Dragonfly.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
But that is a cat. That is a furry
I
cat.
love
That
how
is indeed.
the one woman on the team is the least animalistic.
Yeah.
There's a guy who's just a gorilla.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. Well, the furries start throwing down. The operators quickly call for backup, which seems to be smart as they are all quickly stomped. And by the time the MPs make their way down to the kerfuffle, it is over. The furries then also beat the asses of the new arrivals. A voice behind them congratulates the Animen on a job well done. And they turn to face their boss, Count Nefaria,
Ah, this bitch.
who apparently holds their service hostage should they ever want to be fully human again.
Okay.
But backup is sure to be quick to follow, and so Nefaria lights up a victory cigar as he presses a button to release sleeping gas throughout the entire facility.
Why do they have that button?
Exactly.
They don't have that button.
I think NORAD should have taken that idea back to the drawing board.
Why does the cat man have a beard?
You know, he's one of them cats with the real poofy jowls.
It's a different color from the rest of him.
He's a very special cat.
Okay.
Well, so Count Nefaria is still pretty frustrated about how that whole thing in Washington, D.C. went when he tried to take over Washington, D.C.
That was
That-
a long time ago.
That happened?
Yeah, remember the X-Men and there was the dome? Washington, D.C. was inside a dome, and Plant Man was there, and the Scarecrow was there.
Well,
I think you were here, Mr. Tin Man, and you were the lion.
I don't remember that at all.
there's even, like,
Right.
it says, and
They're
there's...
telling it and they're showing it.
And I don't
Okay.
remember any of this.
Charles Xavier busted out his mechano legs and walked into town.
I believe you that it happened, I just don't remember it at all.
It's because it was a terrible story. Well, he's not happy about how that went.
I'm shocked. Shocked, I say.
So now he's decided to instead take the whole world hostage. If you fail to walk, run. Scott Summers sulks alone in the mansion, thinking about the departure of his friends and the incident with Thunderbird earlier. But he's soon joined by Kurt Wagner, checking in on him after the argument. Scott has taken the entire debacle on his own shoulders, taking responsibility for everything, including John's injury. Before the discussion goes any further, Charles quickly interrupts, calling them both to the briefing room, where they're met with a video of Count Nefaria explaining his evil plan.
Wow.
As you do.
He has activated something known as the Doomsmith Command System,
Does he want $1 million? Because I've seen this movie before.
and it will give him full control of America's nuclear arsenal. He demands a ransom from all nations on Earth, though he at least employs something of a sliding pay scale on the matter, only charging each nation proportionately. I want to know about the logistics of his operation, like, who decides what amount is fair from each country? What about Taiwan? What side of the matter has Count Nefaria taken?
Wait. Israel-Palestine question.
Ooh, the great question. Count Nefaria, answer this for us.
Are you expecting Palestine to pay? Does that recognize Palestine as a country in your eyes?
What if everybody goes along with this except for, like, New Zealand? Will Count Nefaria go along with the general consensus? Will he wipe Hobbiton off the globe? Will he kill all of us? Do we all have to go to war with New Zealand and give them swirlies until they go along with it? Why am I targeting New Zealand?
I don't know.
Anyway, if he doesn't get his way, he's gonna launch all the nukes. All of this being relayed to them by Hank McCoy, which is where I have to explain that I chose not to cover his joining the Avengers because I thought the story was dumb.
Hank is in the Avengers now.
He's an Avenger now. It was a stupid story.
So he's more important than all of them. Wow.
Also, he's apparently made good with Charles over the past few weeks, so that's nice. He's confused when he sees the assembled X-Men, as these are not the X-Men he expected. But at Xavier's prompting, explains that the Avengers have their hands full and apparently can't spare their attention to potential nuclear devastation.
What could the Avengers possibly be doing that's more important than total nuclear war?
Well, I don't know, but Hank thought of his old friends and decided to throw this bone their way.
Oh my god.
Their mission made clear, Scott readies the team, ordering Thunderbird to stay home due to his injury. John won't have any of it, and at Xavier's insistence that they need to get going, Scott relents. The X-Men take to the skies, apparently in the Blackbird now. Well, given that it's a Blackbird, they probably got here in like 10 fucking minutes. But apparently the pilots flying over the mountain weren't informed that a call to the Avengers was made.
F-15s?
That sounds right.
I mean, yeah, they're really old planes, is the what?
Well, keep in mind that this came out in 1975.
Yeah, and they were like from 1974, so that's why they look so off-model.
State of the art, baby.
Yes. And now it is actually a Blackbird.
Yep.
But they don't know what a Blackbird is shaped like.
Well, they have to make room for a big old crew compartment, so they had to kind of misshape it a little bit. Well, the pilots didn't know that a call to the Avengers was made, but the X-Men are quickly patched through to a general in charge of the situation. Scott recognizes him, but I couldn't, so I had to look it up. All of the generic military men in Marvel have blended together.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that was Thunderbolt, but...
No, apparently this is General Fredericks, and he's been in several X-Men comics we've read. The last time, funnily enough, being the last time we dealt with Count Nefaria.
Was he there with the Locust?
I don't know.
So what you're saying is he's also a callback.
Yeah, good big old throwback to fan favorite General Fredericks.
Important
No,
X-Men
the
lore.
fact that he was the general the last time Nefaria was around may well be a callback.
Maybe he's also stalking Count Nefaria.
God. Didn't know that he was on Count Nefaria's rogues list.
God.
No, Count Nefaria is on his.
So, he was clearly a very memorable sort. He's not all that happy about the mutants being the one to answer the call, but he doesn't exactly have the option of being picky with the fate of the world hanging in the balance.
Excuse me, but are they shooting the NORAD base?
Seems that way.
I think so, yes.
Are they shooting what is probably the most hardened location on the face of the
I
earth?
don't know why they're doing that, actually.
Also, all of the employees are still in there. They're just asleep.
Yeah, but they're shooting...
Also a good point.
They're shooting... you understand that this
I mean,
base...
they're kind of expendable at the cost of nuclear hellfire.
They
That's
are,
true.
but this is a base that is almost certainly designed to be survivable in a nuclear attack.
It is explicitly able to be survivable against a nuclear attack. But when has the military ever been like, shooting this will not fix my problem?
Yeah, that's kind of the whole deal.
Oh.
That's all they do.
The Doomsmith system?
Indeed, that's what Count Nefaria activated, as you may recall from a page or so back.
I do remember that.
So he gives them a brief rundown on the mountain's defenses before again mentioning the Doomsmith protocol.
Is that his hand?
That's Scott's hand touching the
Okay.
The screen.
Okay.
Otherwise, he's getting really, really comfortable with the general.
It was a giant hand.
Yeah, he has those yowie hands. I'm sorry, but that's just how he's drawn right now.
Fredericks explains it as a sort of doomsday protocol, but that Nefaria doesn't actually know what he's doing because while it does give him control of the country's entire arsenal, it also, after a set time, fires fucking everything. Mutually assured destruction, baby! That's the Cold War way!
Of course it's like that.
Man, I really hate Scott's new visor.
It's really bad.
It's bad. I hate it.
I feel like they drew that, and then they drew all those other horrible faces because of that.
To distract from it.
God.
Or no, it misshapens his face so bad that it
fucks
confuses
with
It warps the space around it.
it confuses the artist on how to draw faces.
God. And that deadline, though, is 52 minutes from now, so good luck, X-Men. Inside, one of Nefaria's Animen points to the radar screens, noting the Blackbird's arrival, immediately recognizing the X-Men, and we're not just going to explain when they got a fucking spy plane, that's just a thing that they have and are known for having. Immediately upon recognizing them, he fires off several seeker missiles at the plane.
So wait, you're telling me that the plane that they are known for having, the famous plane that they are known for having, the one that almost every adaptation always gives them, just sort of happened off screen?
Yes, I'm saying that. But it's time for me to geek out about the Blackbird some more. Okay, so they're flying relatively low, and they're getting ready to settle down, so they're probably not going full bore, as full bore, an SR-71 Blackbird goes fucking Mach 3.2.
We don't actually know how fast it can go.
It is still the fastest manned plane we have ever fucking made. To this date, decades later, a Blackbird has never been shot down, and do you want to know why? Because a Blackbird flies so fast and so high that by the time any system recognizes it and fires, it is a country away.
Oh my god.
Now, we've got an entirely different kind of situation here, low to the ground, and they're right next door, so we're just going to have to put that aside.
Missiles of that era could never... Also, it can't do that.
No. Well, it's got modifications, so I'm just gonna write it off. Like, we know it's modified, so sure, what the fuck, why not?
Also, missiles of the era can't do that either. They're really, really shitty.
Scott masterfully flies the damn thing through the canyons, the mountain landscape, managing to juke at the last moment so the missiles explode against a nearby rocky outcropping, but the impact is still enough to throw off the delicate flight instruments of the Blackbird, because when you're going that fast, anything that goes wrong is just game over.
I swear this thing looks more like a pod racer than an airplane.
Now this is pod racing! The plane spins out of control, G-forces pressing the X-Men down into their seats, when at the last moment, Cyclops hits the eject button, ejecting the cockpit away as the rest of the plane explodes against a nearby mountain. And so goes down in history, flight incident number 4 for Mr. Summers.
No! By all that's holy, the X-Men still live!
By all that's unholy.
Oh, true. Sorry.
Nefaria
Because
rages.
he's evil.
Yes.
Nefaria rages upon realizing the survival of his foes. He smashes his fist down on one of the buttons at his control panel, hitting the cockpit with a sonic disruptor.
The government has a sonic disruptor in a mountain?
Well,
Sure.
if you're gonna have it anyway, I think NORAD High Command seems like a good place.
I guess, but who's it for?
Finally, it disintegrates around them, leaving the X-Men to plummet from the skies.
Why?
Because it happened. We move along now to X-Men 95 from July of 1975, written by Chris Claremont and Len Wein, penciled by Dave Cockrum, again with some pages by John Bolton, as we're using the classic X-Men version, inks by Sam Granger and John Bolton, colors by Petra Scottese, and lettered by Karen Mantlo and Bill Oakley. We got a couple new female comic creators here, but as it's starting to become an unfortunate trend around here, I couldn't find anything about Petra other than that she sometimes goes by Petra Goldberg. So that's your fun Petra fact. Now what about Karen Mantlo? Fun Karen Mantlo fact, she was married to another comic creator, Bill Mantlo. Stunning! Fun facts about women in comics.
That's it? Oh,
But-
God.
They exist and they are married.
But don't worry, we've got someone with some facts. When I went to look up Bill Oakley, I got a horrifyingly sad tale about the medical industry. So the fun fact about Bill, instead, is that he's known for that thing where you just erase the lines when a thought or speech bubble touches the edge and all the words are just allowed in the gutter. Fun facts all around on X-Men 95.
Sad facts about medical industry. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Chris says the new X-Men will all be dead in 5 seconds. Great job, team. Hit the showers. Great book. 5 stars.
In a few seconds, they will all be dead.
As the X-Men fall, Count Nefaria briefly considers that, hey, these aren't actually the same guys. Well, he speaks to a Mr. Hagedorn. I believe he's with the White House. And the president isn't game with these demands. One of the Animen, Catman, is like, hey boss, you're kidding, right? That'd cause the end of the world. We wouldn't actually do that, would we? And Count Nefaria's like, so what if we did? And Catman is not reassured.
Catman does not have a beard, but he does have a mustache.
And big poofy whiskers.
I want to pet him.
Do you think he wants to be pet?
No.
Nefaria does at least make a token effort, though. He's like, they're not going to deny us. They're going to pay because they don't have a choice.
They might be thinking you're bluffing, my dude.
The Animen also worry about another attack, this time by the Avengers, and Nefaria is again not bothered. They already took out one super team, they'll just do it again.
The Avengers are too busy with other shit, they couldn't come.
Because something is more important than nuclear annihilation in about 60 minutes.
He's just gonna have Dragonfly entrance all the soldiers into an army at her command, because that's, of course, the gift that we give the woman.
The woman has to have the mind control. Not only does she get the sexual dimorphism, she also has to have the mind control.
Sexy mind control.
Of course.
So she'll just have the soldiers fight anyone who bursts out. As the X-Men tumble through the skies, Cyclops orders the Flyers to grab 2 people and for Kurt to teleport, and Kurt's like, no can do, informing him, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing goes out. Now you're thinking with portals.
I thought they only had a few seconds.
No, they're, about a minute and a half above the ground.
Okay.
That's very high.
Well, they were in a plane, John.
They were flying pretty high.
I thought they were flying pretty low by the end of that.
Well, they're fine now.
No,
well, I think they ejected up out of the cockpit.
Oh, true.
Storm grabs a hold of Wolverine and Nightcrawler, while Colossus instead turns to steel again, much to Storm's great displeasure.
She hates this.
Banshee's got Thunderbird, but he doesn't have enough lift to grab Cyclops too. He promises Scott he'll be right back, and Scott's just like, okay. 1 minute to impact.
Colossus is the first to land.
Yep, Colossus continues his extreme cannonball, finally landing in an explosion of debris.
If one can truly call this a landing.
The team fly to his location, worrying over their teammates' fate. When the smoke clears, there's no sign of Colossus.
Oh no!
He died!
Aurora sets down with her pair of X-Men, and the 3 peer through the smoke, which I thought had cleared, but apparently not, relieved when they finally see Colossus deep in his impact crater. A-okay.
And there's Scott.
Yep, T-minus 37 seconds, no Banshee.
He's
T-minus 12 seconds, no Banshee.
You're falling, that's a tree.
T-minus 8 seconds, no oh, there it is. Scott takes a moment to recover from his near heart attack, and the group are finally together again.
It doesn't look like he had a near heart attack.
He's extremely sweaty. He's got flop sweats.
So, less than an hour until global nuclear annihilation. Let's do this, folks! Psych orders Nightcrawler to teleport inside the base and find a surface hatch with which to let the rest of them in. At which point, Kurt reminds him that if he teleports where he can't see, he could materialize into something. It's tantamount to suicide. Okay, plan 2. Banshee, yell at the rock and find somewhere Kurt can teleport in. So Banshee does that, using his sonic shriek as a sonar of sorts, and finding a safe little hollow for our blue friend. Banshee, after a great effort, finally manages the task at hand, communicating the location to an absolutely delighted Gort.
He's got a distance for him.
Look at his little face.
He's so happy.
Look at him. He's like, I have friends
Teamwork,
now.
my friends. How I love it.
I love him.
I have friends now.
It's excellent. He vanishes into a puff of smoke, reappearing sound, but not safe, as immediately after his appearance, Nightcrawler is attacked from behind.
And called a slur.
Yep, it's Count Nefaria's Frogman. Well, Amphibious is taken, and Frogman, I believe, is also taken, so Croaker it is.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Croaker and Nightcrawler leap about the tunnel, as Croaker is a real bigot for a man shaped like a frog, calling him a mutie time and again. But Kurt schools him, poofing behind him and knocking dear Croaker to La La Land, while Kurt drags him along to that missile silo where he thinks he'll find the hatch. Nefaria watches from the control room, pounding his hand furiously on the control panel at Croaker's fuck-up. The rest of the Animen wait in reserve, and Nefaria's like, just whatever, let the X-Men come. They've got a thing or two coming to them once they get in here, so it's fine. Kurt finally arrives at the missile silo, manually opening the door for his friends, though while he's busy with that, Croaker bounces away.
Not gonna lie, it's kind of impressive it was easy enough to open for a guy who probably doesn't know how to open a missile silo.
Very user-friendly of them.
Mm-hmm.
Finally inside, the X-Men can start on their way to the control room. Though as they go, they're starting to not feel so well. Suddenly, they see the gas cloud as it rushes down the hallway, enveloping the group. They're choking, suffering, suffocating in the gas, when Cyclops orders them all to attack one wall, to knock it down, so they can get somewhere where they can breathe.
Does
Okay,
Colossus need to breathe?
yes.
Assumedly.
He has impervious skin. He still needs to breathe.
Okay.
Okay, but my concern here is, even if you knock down a wall, the gas is just going to expand to fill the new space.
Right, but it's not going to be as filled, as dense.
I suppose.
It'll be diffused a little bit.
Also, Roro's skin color not looking so good here anymore.
No.
She's kind of green.
Well, I mean, she's hanging out with John here, who's kind of pink, so...
Yeah.
It's not a great look all around.
But hey, they really got confused about what skin color Cyclops
Well, I don't know.
is.
See, if you make the case that it's to do with the
Yeah.
gas...
He might be, like, suffocating a little bit.
Yeah, but he's fine here.
Well, they punched through the wall, so it's fine
It's
now.
fine now.
Yeah, but
Instantly.
Oh, but he's still red. John's still red.
Well, yeah, that's just how
Well,
he
yeah.
looks, you know. It's just pink. Neon fucking pink.
God. One step forward, one step back.
So they burst free, but only get a few breaths of clean air when the facility's MPs burst through the doors, opening fire at the mutants. Colossus shields him with his massive metal body, but the onslaught doesn't stop. The soldiers are clearly dazed, but the gas continues to pour through the hole behind them. Stuck between a rock and a hard place, Aurora summons up a fearsome flood, rushing the soldiers all the way down the hallways and clearing the way. Don't worry, guys, she's got this covered. Storm won't let the mean soldiers hurt you.
Why do they keep drawing her like this?
It's just, she looks...
With these weird sideways eyes.
I don't know.
I hate it.
Why? She looks so unfortunate.
It's frustrating.
Mhm.
It's very frustrating.
As I said, one step forward, one step back. Maybe even 2 steps back.
I would say this is 2 steps forward and 1 step back. This is still a black woman
Yeah.
in a comic book team.
Okay, fair, yeah. Just wish they could consistently make her look right.
Thunderbird demands to take point, but Cyclops turns him down. Wolverine's on that, which only aggravates Proudstar more. He can do just as good a job at tracking, which Cyclops immediately denies, especially considering that of the bunch of them, Wolverine has actually fucking been here before.
Mhm.
John is incredibly frustrated in the wake of this. He wants to be useful. He wants to be the best, and it's really starting to get to him.
Not a great...
Sounds like a personal problem, John.
Not a great guy for teamwork, I guess.
Suddenly, the Animen are on them, ambushing the X-Men from above.
Ooh.
Gort, the gorilla, throws Thunderbird into
His
Banshee.
His
name
name is
is what?
Gort.
Gort.
Gort!
Gort.
His name's Gort.
Gort.
See,
Gort.
Gort sees them, Catman.
Gort.
Catman?
Yeah, we talked about
his name
Catman
is
already.
Catman.
Okay, but the Catman's name is Catman.
Yes.
And the
girl's name is Gort. And the frog's name
It's Croaker.
There's no theme here.
Dragonfly.
Dragonfly, Gort, Catman,
Gort.
and Croaker.
And Falco.
Oh, and
Falco.
Falco.
Singer of top chart hit Rock Me Amadeus. And video game protagonist. Real Renaissance man.
Oh, God. Why?
And our best friend, Gort.
And our
Gort.
best friend, Gort. Well, Gort eats John at Sean.
Yeah, which, annoyingly, is literally the same name in two different languages.
Yeah.
And now the X-Men are down 2. They don't have time for this, so no more pulling punches. But this battle isn't going so hot. The X-Men are physically worn down, still encumbered by some of the effects of the gas, and with 2 of their number down, they're equally matched in numbers. Catman has his eyes set on Wolverine. He's got him on the ropes, and he's ready to give Wolverine a taste of his claws, when Colossus intervenes, seizing Catman by the arm and chucking him across the room.
Okay, but my claws ain't fake. They're real, and they can kill. Not while Colossus lives! Huh? Who grabbed my arm? I grabbed it. I, Colossus. And while Colossus lives, the Wolverine will not be harmed.
I love this very natural dialogue.
You know, perfectly natural way of talking. Everyone talks this way. Well, you know, this is normal. Normal dialogue.
Bye-bye, Catman!
Catman got obliterated.
Meanwhile, Croaker wants a rematch, but Cyclops doesn't think so, and he blasts Croaker before the Birdman, who may or may not have a name, picks Mr. Summers up and flies off with him.
Oh my god.
Kurt returns the favor for Scott, bamfing over to knock the Birdman out of the air, and Gort is not happy about any of this.
You hurt Gort's friends. You hurt Gort. For that, Gort will kill you all.
Yeah, Gort speaks in third person.
Uh-huh. Just like his boss.
Storm gives Gort a pretty good jolt of lightning, but he's still standing. Not for long, though. Wolverine and Nightcrawler give him the old whammy, and he's out for the count. That just leaves Dragonfly. She uses her hypnotic powers, trying to work her way into Cyclops' mind so she can flee to inform Count Nefaria of what happened, forgetting that he's watching this whole ordeal on pay-per-view. Psyche can't resist, falling blankly under her spell, but he still manages to motion to open his visor, and it blasts Dragonfly, and so much for the Animen. Doomsmith minus 18 minutes.
That went badly for them.
Yeah. The furries have lost again.
Rip to the furries.
And not even the same furries.
Nope.
Well, John Squared are still out cold, and the clock is ticking away. And so the rest of the X-Men leave their friends for now, rushing towards the command center. But the place is huge. Finally, they reach their destination, but when they arrive, they find Nefaria has fled and activated the base's self-destruct system. And the 9 minutes they have probably isn't enough time to turn it off.
Okay. Why was it so easy to activate the self-destruct?
Great question. Don't know. Back in the corridor, a groggy Banshee and Thunderbird come too, piecing together the fight from the mess left in its wake, even as Nefaria spirits himself away to a fighter stored in one of the base's hangar bays. The getaway car. But this brings these two groups together. The two X-Men see Nefaria as he sprints towards the plane.
He knows how to fly a Harrier? Okay.
Sure, why not? They rush after him. Well, maybe he studied for this heist, you know?
And they even call it one. Oh, shit.
Chris likes his planes.
Oh, he's a
there
nerd.
There are multiple characters that are named after plane companies. Like later there's Lockheed.
Oh,
and there's also one of the Starjammers is named Sikorsky, which is a brand of helicopter.
I know what Sikorsky is.
It's your kind of guy.
The man likes his planes.
I mean, I like planes too. It's why I recognized it as a Harrier and why I recognized the F-15s earlier.
Yup.
But I didn't realize they were really, truly, intentionally meant to be that. Now, it's kind of obvious that he's a plane nerd.
John Proudstar's muscles pump fiercely as he summons up enough strength to leap onto the plane just before it takes off, holding tight as it goes. Banshee futilely calls for him to stop. He can do this job better, but John's heard this again and again and again lately, and so he continues, fiercely beating at the cockpit glass.
Also, fun fact, Harriers are really hard to fly, so odds are this guy would just get himself killed.
Apparently he studied. Inside the base, things are getting tense. This time it's Wolverine who thinks they should get while the getting's good. But Cyclops points out that they're not going to get far in 5 minutes anyway.
True.
The computer's the best shot they have. And then Xavier intervenes, telling them that their battle actually destroyed all of the relays for the Doomsmith system, but outside Thunderbird is in mortal danger.
Convenient.
How do you know that?
He just does. Blame Len, he plotted this.
Professor, you don't... You're a telepath. This is a machine.
Why is this something he knows? Yeah, great question. We're still doing this for some... Maybe he mind-read someone who noticed it.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. Some of the soldiers woke up from sexy lady spell. But he tells them that Thunderbird is in mortal danger.
And actually, the other thing, he's yelling at Scott like Scott should know.
Right? That's just Chuck, though. The X-Men rush towards the exit, hoping to rescue their friend. Charles mentally orders John to get off the plane now, before it's too late, even as Proudstar finally pounds his way through the glass. Both Banshee and Charles plead, but Thunderbird doesn't abandon the plane, still ripping and tearing at it. Storm, too, takes to the skies, even as John tears at the plane's control systems, ripping this jet to pieces. He finally does the plane a fatal blow, and it breaks up in midair, exploding and taking John Proudstar with it before the disbelieving eyes of his teammates.
Oh dear.
Charles Xavier mourns. He'd been with John right until the end, and that had to be a hell of a thing.
Ooh.
Banshee, too, finally sets down, clearly in shock as he explains how he begged for Proudstar to stop, but at the end of the day, there's nothing to be done. This is dangerous business. It comes with the uniform. Next, we're going to take things a little more out of sequence for a better storytelling experience.
Can we just go back a second and see that?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yep, he's just dead.
He's dead.
So this does clear up why you don't know Thunderbird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it when you were mentioning it, so I've held my tongue for the past couple.
He's not just dead, but we Charles Xavier is going through
what death feels like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we get to watch it.
And we're going to hold with this tone as we take things a little bit more out of sequence for a better experience. We're going to bump on over to Classic X-Men number 3 from August of 1986, written by Chris Claremont, penciled and inked by John Bolton, colors by Glynis Wein, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski. A quick content warning on this issue for Suicide. You might want to jump 10 minutes into the future if that's not something you think you can handle right now. But on the other end, we've got a nice happy story. So just keep that in mind before you proceed. Thank you. Charles Xavier sits alone in his wheelchair in the deserts of New Mexico. He's come to return his fallen student home. He's still reeling from the loss, the first of his X-Men to fall in battle. To this point, they'd always all come home. And what's worse, he as good as experienced the whole thing with John, feeling every moment of it tied together in a telepathic link with him at the time. Apparently he doesn't suffer alone, though. Jean Grey heard his cry of anguish, and so after finding out about the deets, she too is here, greeting her mentor with a kiss on the cheek, as they reminisce on the memory that brought them together, when Jean, as a young girl, experienced her friend Annie's death when she was struck by a car, much the same as Charles just did now. Charles helped her in the aftermath, and so now he doesn't suffer alone. Suddenly the pair hear an alarmed cry from Pyotr Rasputin. The X-Men milling about the reservation town quickly rush to the station, where they find that John Proudstar's body is now gone, his casket torn open. The priest moves to call the police, and the X-Men make to look for their friend's body when Mr. and Mrs. Proudstar arrive. Mr. Proudstar stating, We appreciate your offer and the respect and friendship for John that prompted it. You took our firstborn son from us and brought him home. You've all done enough. Now we ask you to leave us in peace. The Proud Stars walk off to grieve on their own, even as Wolverine starts getting antsy. Scott can see where this is going, and he tries to stop him, but that's not going to happen. And so the rest of the X-Men trail after Wolverine as he follows the scent of the perpetrator, trying to make sure that he doesn't cause too much of a problem. Jean, though, mentions to the professor that the Proud Stars suspect that their younger son James may have been the culprit. Wolverine is keeping things relatively quiet, using his nose and his knowledge of tracking to follow the culprit, also of the belief that this might be John's little brother. Not so quiet is Banshee as he screams his way across the desert.
You don't say! His name is literally Banshee.
Caught up in his own thoughts about Thunderbird's death, dwelling on the eternal question, what if? What if he'd been fast enough? What if he'd been able to stop John? But it was Proudstar's own choice to hold on, and nothing Banshee did was going to stop him. Much further behind, neither Kurt nor Pietro are too keen on the weather. With Kurt's fur, he's feeling the heat. And Colossus from Russia, he's not exactly used to this either.
Yeah, I think he's used to the other kind of weather,
Considering
cold.
he's from Siberia.
Yeah. 40 below? That's fine. 100? No.
Scott tells them that if they're having trouble, they should go back. But they're X-Men, and they'll tough it out for one of their own. Kurt then drifts into memory, recounting a day in the danger room a few weeks back. John was hard at work punching a punching bag, as he often was. When Kurt and Piotr question the reason, John talks about what a thankless, dangerous job this is, but that he doesn't really have anywhere else to go, and so he came here. He'd said it as a joke, supposedly, but Kurt can't help but feel that he missed Proudstar's pain. Suddenly there's a brief reprieve from the sweltering heat as Aurora drops down, bringing a light rainstorm in her wake as she reports Wolverine's progress, before she too thinks on John Proudstar. When she settled in the mansion, Aurora chose, rather than one of the rooms, to live in the attic, filling it with flowers. She's surprised when she turns around to see John, as her fellow X-Men entered nearly silently. He mentions how he's not quite as sneaky as Wolverine, but it still gets the job done. Aurora asks why he must constantly compare himself against Wolverine, but John says that he's the man to beat. Aurora notes that he seems out of sorts. It's at least partially the plants. They remind John of the jungle, which definitely left its marks on him. He left his friends in the jungle. Do with that what you will. He's clearly deeply depressed. James Proudstar is throwing his brother a warrior's funeral. Though he doesn't know it, he's not alone. Logan is caught up with the youngster, but he hasn't interrupted him. Instead, he sits in the shadows of a nearby rock, just watching him, when he notices some belongings thrown into the dirt, and the picture comes clearer for him. A picture of John Proudstar in his military service, medals from just the same, and his honorable discharge papers. It all becomes clear. John lied to get into the Marines too young, and the war left him traumatized and hurt. There's nothing else to see here. He returns to his friends, turning them off the case. I like what he says here. Nothing for us, psych. Just a boy laying his big brother to rest in the old ways of their people. And James, all alone now, swears to avenge his older brother, taking his name onto himself.
See, you said that the reason why I didn't know anything about Proudstar is because he died, but,
You knew there was one.
I knew there was one still. So, okay.
Yeah, it's complicated. We'll meet up with Mr. Proudstar later. Young Mr. Proudstar.
Right.
Eventually.
Last but not least, we're going to bounce on back to Classic X-Men number 2 from July of 1986, written by Chris Claremont, penciled and inked by John Bolton, colors by Glynis Wein, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski. Aurora Monroe soars through the artificial canyons of New York City, weaving through and above the skyscrapers, a whole new landscape for her. She loves flying, but she can't imagine settling down here in the city without any connection to nature or fresh air. But then here she is. She came here to see Jean Grey. I mean, fair, the mansion is a bit of a sausage fest. She touches down on Jean's balcony, and Jean opens the door to welcome her inside. She just moved in, so things are still a bit disorderly. And she has a roommate, someone you might recognize. That would be private investigator Misty Knight. Jean is chattering away when she finally catches herself, explaining that it's just her nerves getting the best of her. To which Aurora confesses her own nerves overcoming here. Jean acknowledges the sausage fest back home, and Aurora questions that hadn't she left the team? But Jean explains that you don't just leave the X-Men. But then she remembers her roommates, and since Misty doesn't know she's Marvel Girl, Aurora probably shouldn't be hanging out in costume.
Mm-hmm.
Storm agrees and just strips entirely naked in a flash of lightning.
Oh my god.
She can do that. Okay.
Causing Jean to spit out her coffee in surprise.
Well.
She scrounges up some clothing for Aurora, who explains that she doesn't really feel the need for clothes.
Oh my god, she hovers the cup.
I mean, when you can, why not?
Right, exactly. Yeah, Aurora explains she doesn't really feel the need for clothes. Her powers protect her from any adverse environmental conditions, so it's fine. Jean asks about modesty, but Aurora's unbothered. She's not ashamed of her body. She finally does find something for Aurora to put on, though it's a bit tight on her. Misty comes to the door, and Jean does briefly introduce them, but she really does need to find something Aurora is not bursting out of, and so they take off into the city, having themselves a fun little time. By the time we catch up with Aurora and Jean next, Aurora finally has a dress that fits, and the two of them are walking arm in arm eating ice cream cones. Things are going a little too well, though, when suddenly a skateboarder plows into the pair from behind, setting both their packages and their ice creams flying, and grabbing Jean's purse as he speeds by. Jean follows after the little brat, intent on getting her purse back, as Aurora gathers their belongings back at the scene of the ice cream murder. The kid guns it for the subway, not wanting to get caught in the open, even if Jean was hoping to do just that. Jean pursues him down the steps, but when Aurora follows behind, she freezes. She freezes on the stairs, frozen in fear. The walls of the stairway seem to close in around her, and she's gripped with a fear too strong to go any further. Jean grabs the kid by the back of the shirt, making to take her bag back when a train comes rushing into the station. Caught up in her emotion, she wasn't ready for the onslaught of all the thoughts, the lives lived, the different languages, and the different people all around. By the time she pulls herself together, the kid and her purse with him are long gone. Frustrated by her rookie mistake and the loss of her purse, by the time Jean gets back above ground, she's pretty aggravated that Aurora didn't back her up. But she eases off when she sees how torn up Aurora is. She reaches in for a little more understanding, seeing how Aurora was buried alive as a child in an accident that killed her mother. Jean expresses how sorry she is, but at the invasion of her thoughts, Aurora is outraged, sending a blast of wind, blasting aside anything in its path, leaving Jean clinging to a subway pole.
Jean, this is why you ask before you read someone's mind.
Finally, she can hold on no longer, and Jean is swept off into the sky, revealing that she was wearing her Marvel Girl dress underneath her skirt all along.
Oh my god.
She catches herself in midair with her telekinesis as Aurora meets her, wreathed in storm clouds. Jean pleads for her to stop, and Aurora expresses her hurt and betrayal, that Jean had no right to dig into her secrets. Jean explains that it was an accident. For a telepath, sometimes the hard thing is not hearing the constant barrage of thoughts around you. But while it's an innate part of her, she'd rather be rid of it entirely than hurt Aurora, her friend. Finally, this reaches through Aurora's fury, and the storm immediately abates. She helps Jean to the ground, but there are no hard feelings. With dismay, she looks at the state of their dropped packages, but Jean doesn't worry over them. Instead, she offers Aurora her hand, helping her to face her fears as she leads her down into the subway station.
Oh boy.
That was really cute.
That was really gay, right?
It was.
Yeah.
I thought it might be nice to end the episode on a high note.
Yeah.
A relative high note.
Rather than John Proudstar's dead and his little brother is sad.
Wow.
So anyway, what did we think about the Doomsmith protocols?
It has some structural problems, but otherwise...
It does have some issues. suddenly, hey, you idiots, you fixed it. It's fine. Nefaria's running away now. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That was kind of a mess. I feel like we missed an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Or we sorely needed one in between.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just lost an issue for what they originally planned.
Who knows? I'm at about 3 stars on that story. It's fine. I like a lot of the characterization and the writing and everything. It does have its issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems reasonable. 3.
Also 3. Yeah.
Okay. What about the funeral for our friend Thunderbird?
Emotional, for
Ooh,
sure.
Boy. Like, these after story things are way better than the stories they're connected to.
It'll be okay soon, and things will eventually flip-flop.
Oh no!
Well, it's after Chris mostly drops off of the writing duties on classic X-Men.
Oh god, so so what's gonna happen is Claremont is going to take over more and more of the storytelling in the main X-Men.
Yeah, that's gonna happen very shortly.
And he's going to
later
have moved on
in
from
classic
classics.
X-Men, editor Ann Nocenti does a lot of the stories, and they are not nearly as good.
That's really sad.
How did I feel about that? I feel like it felt weird to make the assertion that John Proudstar essentially committed suicide, but like I can see why they would go that way because it was a strange, I'm just gonna beat up this plane forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the decision had been made a decade earlier. How do you explain what he did a decade earlier?
Framing it as a suicide, yeah.
Considering the reason, Vietnam fucked him up.
Yeah, and like,
It's something...
they did a good job on that spin, it just felt strange.
And I don't think it feels that strange, considering every time we met him, he had damage.
What you don't see, though, that I see, I think, is where the pages of additional stuff are added into that makes it a much more seamless story experience for you than it actually was initially written. If you look, it's mostly notable by John Bolton's rather delicate inking style. Because look at this. This is like romance novel fucking illustration.
I understand that it was like 2 different things, pretty much.
But
I think that the way that they connected it works.
Like, he felt he was already feeling damaged.
And now he's in constant competition, never adding up, and this one last time, Banshee's like, I can do this better, don't worry about it, and it's just enough.
I mean, he had to be better than Wolverine at things only Wolverine could do. He had to be the best, no matter what. It was necessary, and maybe, at one point in his life, it was necessary, but he's surrounded by people who he can't be better than, who can do things he can't, and unfortunately, he was too stubborn.
So I said it about 3.5 on that one, because I still think it's a strange pivot, but it's well executed.
I honestly don't think it's a pivot.
I think it's a 4 for me.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. It's sad, it's depressing, but
it does fit a certain context.
Yeah.
Does give us something with which to understand the main piece, and that's also why I wanted to do these together.
I think it makes sense.
What do we think about our fun trip into the city? Our fun little shopping trip.
Well, that got out of hand fast.
I think I'm gonna give that also a 4 because it was fun, it was cute, it was gay. What more can you ask?
I'm with you.
It got messy.
Actually, I gotta go. Do I really want to take it to 4.5? I might take it to 4.5 because though I'm not a big fan of John Bolton's art style, in this one place, it is absolutely perfect.
So I take it there are times where it doesn't fit?
Well, I mean, we've gone through plenty of it. Sometimes the delicate look in a moodier situation or...
We are really going to get into the weeds about art styles and... I mean, considering...
We're getting to the point where, because a lot of, like, Silver Age stuff all looks very samey.
Yeah.
We're getting to the point, with X-Men at least, where artists have distinct styles.
And the art itself is helping tell the story
yes.
as much as the words are.
Or hurting the story.
True. Like in that Proud Star.
Yeah,
It could
the
have
art
used
didn't
some
go
more-
that
It
very
could have
well there.
used heavy shadow in a
Although,
lot
yeah,
of
I
places.
think in some ways the nearly lineless.
The starkness of the landscape
Mhm.
worked
Yes.
very well.
I do think the nearly lineless style of it actually played to its strengths.
I think we've overcompensated on the skin tone thing by making the Proud Stars and
Extremely
James
white.
entirely chalk white.
Yeah.
that's it's never going to be perfect. It was always kind of messy. It was messy, and it's probably messy in its time, to be perfectly honest.
The Storm is back to having a normal skin color
And
Yeah.
in this classic X-Men story.
and a normal face.
Yay.
Indeed. So that's it for us this week.
Oh yeah, I'm giving this one a 4.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. Did I say?
Yeah, you said 4.5.
Oh, I did. Yes.
You
okay.
weren't sure if you were going to give it a 4.5.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4.5. Extra points for K. You see what I mean when I say that Chris Claremont is fairly
Mhm.
shamelessly queer coding these characters.
Yeah.
Mhm. Hey, Jean, you know, she's right there. You can just forget Wolverine and Scott. She's also a project.
Oh my god.
Fuck!
I mean, tell me I'm wrong here. She's working on a project.
You're killing
Oh
Ripley.
my god.
Proof that she has a thing for people who need work.
She has a type, and that type is I can fix them. Alright, well, we're gonna be back with you next week with Thor. Our usual housekeeping here. Hit us up with an email over at comicsplaining@gmail.com. We're also on social media, Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook, Comicsplaining in all of those places. If you'd like to donate to our Patreon, you get access to bonuses, including our bad comic-sodes, which are going to be coming out monthly over there.
Oh, that
You
first
should
one
be
was-
getting one earlier this week before this comes out.
That first one was really bad.
Can't wait to see what we have coming in September.
Woo!
Woo.
Birthday month.
Yes.
Birthday week.
True.
Yeah, birthday weekend.
True.
Oh, is it just the weekend this time?
No, mine is on Saturday, yours is on Friday.
You can also donate us a couple bucks over on coffee if you want to throw those our way. But if you don't, there are a couple other ways you can help out the podcast. Rate and review us over at your Podchaser of choice. Or if you want to see a video version of the podcast anyway with clips of the stuff we're talking about, when we're talking about like John Bolton's delicate line work, you can see an example of that. If you follow the show over on YouTube, we put a video version of the show out weekly with those clips. So like, subscribe, and hit the bell button. Just thought about how I would probably not want to be walking around barefoot in the subway on New York City.
I mean, all that glass.
Maybe she's using telekinesis.
To levitate slightly above the floor.
The glass, the
Like
rat
a-
shit,
God.
the human pee, the human shit, the vomit. It's New York. There's if you can think of a solid or liquid, it's on the ground.
What about gases?
Those are in the air. You smell those.
I see.
We're going to be back with you next time with Thor, and we look forward to talking to you then. Bye!
Bye.